following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
Hello, this is Derick Snow, also known as the voice of Shinra Kusakabe, saying, you're listening to Toonami Faithful Podcast Exclusive, saying, smash that podcast headphones to your ears, man.
Welcome to Toonami Faithful listeners. This is your host CJ Maffers here. I'm alongside Sketch, and we are with a very special guest here today.
Hi, I'm Derick Snow. You may know me as the voice of Shinra Kusakabe on the awesome Toonami show Fire Force.
It was definitely a show that Sketch and I both enjoyed. We still do. I actually do want to read the manga, but before we kind of get into Fire Force, for you, what was it like not only having a show that you were in get on Toonami, but to hear like your voice very prominently on the block as the lead character Shinra?
Well, I had a little bit of earlier success, getting onto Toonami through Black Clover and Dragon Ball Super. But when I found out that I was going to be cast as Shinra Kusakabe for Fire Force, it was pretty exciting. The thing about doing one of those characters in recording far in advance, you can't really say anything to anybody, but you start to feel this incredible strange superhero power that a secret that nobody else knows. And then once there was a wacky Twitter reveal about the characters, and it just felt so good getting to know the character. Kyle Phillips, the cool dude who cast me, it was a great process because I'd worked on him with some other shows. It's just kind of the stair-step process of getting going in voice acting. It's kind of you get to make really nice acquaintances, and you work hard, and you get to know these people professionally. And I'd worked with him on as kind of a bad guy, Walihito in Fairy Tale. And he's got kind of this gravelly thing going on, and he's got these nice sharp teeth, and he smiles sometimes, but he's much crazier than Shinra. And whenever he brought me into audition, I did it, and he said, "Oh, that was great. This role was yours to lose." I was like, "Say what?" That was a pretty good feeling. Well, if I knew that in advance, I probably could have freaked myself out a little bit, because it being mine to lose. But it was a great feeling knowing that I got to be do this big show. I'd already read some of the manga that had come over, but I've had nothing but great times. Fire Force has been very good to me.
which is awesome to say. I always find it like exciting for those who are getting into like anime voice acting, getting to hear their voice in like a Toonami promo, like kind of stuff like that. Like, do you get chills when you like hear your performance on not only just the show itself, but like little extras like that?
Well, I'm kind of half and half, because in some ways, how you don't like hearing your own voice sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's really weird living in, being in an industry where you're basically having to, love your voice. I love my voice. I mean, I have to, because I would need some big time therapy if I didn't. But like, it's weird, like hearing yourself. You're like, whoa, that is so strange. More like I'm always satisfied when I hear this great performance. If I step away from it, a little time passes, and then I can hear it again. I'm like, oh, thank goodness I acted good. I'm so harsh and judgmental on myself. But yeah, it's more cool like being able to like show some of the people that have always supported me over the years. When that kind of promo or something like that hits, then I can say I didn't fail you guys. I don't know if I'm doing it for myself or for the standing on the shoulders of all the people that trained me and taught me and helped to bring me to where I am. I guess that's when it feels really good.
Nice. I think
who trained you?
Ooh, yeah, that is a good one.
Oh well, I had my first. We've all got interesting history, probably people that inspire us. My high school teacher, Mr. Keith Rogers, he was probably one of the. He got me from a place where I was an okay, not a great actor, but he helped me to understand stuff about, context. And he passed away a couple of years ago, so he didn't get to see any of this stuff. But often I try to just I want to do good for those people that did great things for me. Now, in terms of I've had some other vocal training and singing training, and there's a cool dude named Tom Logan. He's a commercial director that he did some workshopping with me back in the day. He found some great happiness watching me do that kind of stuff. And one of my cool pals, Mr. James Fields, he's been out of the voiceover industry for a little while, but he was on old school Dragon Ball as Jimmy Firecracker. We worked together for a long time when I was just, some kind of a scrub that hardly did any voiceover work. I was more commercial stuff. And yeah, he just, it's so good to be able to, take the steps just to get higher and then show your work back to these people that you respect and admire. And they, when they show pride in that just feels good.
Oh,
Nice.
that's awesome. Yeah. It definitely seems kind of warranted when you think of all the people in Fire Force that teaches Shinra to be a better member of Squad 8 and stuff like that, huh?
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
relatable.
Shinra is just a cool dude. He's an outsider. He's got that initial expectations that everybody sees from him because he's got these red eyes, these sharp teeth, this smile whenever bad things are happening, and they see him as this devil. But then he proves himself to be a trustworthy hero, and he brings all these people onto his side just because he's got the heart, and it's not necessarily what you see on the outside, and that's great.
Yeah. How was it working on Fire Force, knowing that it was the spiritual successor to one of the more popular animes out there in Soul Eater? Because honestly, considering that after the years that have passed between Soul Eater and now with Fire Force, you could have told me that they were back to back. They look almost exactly the same. I love the aesthetic. It looks amazing. So I'm curious on how you felt when you were watching everything for the first time. Wow, you really see the style.
It really helps if you read any of the mangas, the detail work that he did on each manga, these individual beautiful panels, incredibly illustrated and rendered, and then really well animated in general, these great parts of these things, just not just perfectly illustrated. It still holds the heart of it. It's not just a one-to-one copy, but it's whenever I was reading it, and then I saw these sequences, particularly, the first, when he's fighting the first demons and stuff, it's just wow, this is, it's so beautiful. And the sound design, once that starts kicking in, I know, it's just, when you're in the booth and you see these lines and you've come from, from reading the manga and seeing these illustrations, when I recorded, because it's a simuldub, we hadn't heard any of the Japanese yet, really. So it was almost like creating, our version of that without trying to stick, too heavily one-to-one of, a Japanese dub. So it was very inspiring watching how faithfully the illustrations came onto into the animation of the anime.
And I feel like that's something that David Productions does really well, since they've adapted JoJo as well, and with how visually stunning that those series are. I think they were able to kind of grab that same type of enthusiasm with Fire Force, and I'm glad to hear that you felt the same way watching it with how close it was with the manga.
Yeah, even the very first episode. I mean, watching him when he sees this unknown to him, really, the Fire Force. The team from I think it's Company 8. Whenever he sees them when he's getting off of the train and he comes to rush to their aid, it's so faithful, and it's that without much dialogue. When Shinra first shows up, it gosh, it just tells such a great story, without having to say much, just because of the incredible visuals and sound.
Yeah, no, it grabs me every time. I'm sure Sketch would agree that like I think the part that was like the most visually and like visually appealing, sounding and like sound most appealing to the ears was when the fire was really used. I'm sure Sketch would agree because I think that's what I really found. Like, there's two things with Fire Force that I found super interesting, and one being with the fire, with how like normally when you see fire in an anime it's very generic. You'll have your big explosion with a lot of like special effects when it comes to anime, but here it's like revered so much with like how the warmth that the sun gives, the dangers that come with it, but yet the positives that come through fire as well, like cooking and all that kind of stuff. And it's just the way that they put a lot of emphasis in it, I think was really really something with both not only the sight but the sound. I'm sure you saw that and heard that too.
Well, I think, yeah, the fire in all its forms is really its own character in the show. It's just so stylized. I feel. I mean, it's just kind of one of these things where fire is the main part of the universe. Not everybody, but a lot of people tend to have these powers. When a third generation pyrokinetic comes in and he's able to shoot this fire out of the feet, it's not just generic fire. It almost represents him, particularly as he begins to grow his powers. These incredible wings start showing up in the shape of fire. Oh, good stuff.
I think it really is, especially like I wouldn't say Shinra is like a different type of like protagonist that you get because like you've seen your youthful exuberant, but I do like not necessarily his smiling in danger part, but he does seem somewhat different than what I'm used to when it comes to protagonists. And I'm curious on how you kind of felt how he was growing and how you were growing with the character. If you saw any kind of like what makes him like really special, at least to like fans of the show, even too.
Well, I feel like he's very well. He's got this familial connection to why he's in it, right? So like his brother, especially in the beginning, he thinks his brother's dead, and his mom was killed by fire, and he's traumatized. He's coming in it as a traumatized character, and so he doesn't exactly know how to represent himself. I guess he knows he's got the heart. He's got the heart for it, but he's just trying to figure out how to be a person in the world. He's a hero that doesn't know how to, like, he wants to be the hero and he's got the heart of it, but he's so socially awkward because people have kind of chastised him all his life just for being the way he is, I guess, particularly, for his smile and stuff. And so he holds back a lot, I feel, like if we were going to therapy.
Yeah. He tries to kind of hold on to stuff. Yeah. He's very he has a very quiet demeanor most of the time to kind of combat people's expectations, I think.
Yeah, and he says these he wants to be a hero and these heroic personas, but in a way it's him trying to psych him, maybe like he believes that he can, but at the same time nobody else has really told him that he can, so it's like he's trying to psych himself into doing these things to be a hero. Interesting.
Yeah, no, it's just not only him, but the entire world in Fire Force seems to be the most fascinating. The thing, and I was talking to Sketch before the podcast, or before this interview, I should say, I think the thing that really draws me, and maybe even others, to Fire Force is this kind of mixture of first responders and religion. It's not something you generally see in an anime. Usually you would see kind of like one side against religion and kind of like pushing back. Like Certain Magical Index comes to mind, where you have the science world and the religious world kind of at odds with each other. But in Fire Force, they did this wonderful job of telling a story that combines, the heroism of first responders as well as like adding a touch of religion in there too. I just find it so fascinating that they were able to do it in a way that I thought was very, not only tasteful, but just very compelling. And I'm curious if you feel the same way, if you enjoyed it, didn't, or anything along those lines.
I think it's particularly creative with the different, the different companies have like you've got one that's entirely religious, and then they start to mingle, because each company has to have, I guess, what do we call them? I'll just say the nuns at this point. Sorry. So we've got these scientists and the religious folks, and they're all mingling. So it creates an interesting, pulling on multiple sides to keep. I feel like the story is able to have new, fresh ideas, just because it's not just one side against everything. There's a lot of shades of gray with the different companies, like Hibana. She thinks she's kind of maybe bad guy, but not really. Everybody's just got their own particular desires, and so just watching that pulling in those directions. Plus, some people in the series, absolutely hate the idea of the religious side, which is interesting because it gives them something to fight up against. But I find that the most success, to me, it seems, is when everybody pulls together, which I think, like, particularly for Shinra's Company 8, I find some of the best moments happen to be when everybody is just having those personal growth moments and growing together. So you've got the religious side plus the science side and just the heroic pyrotechnic side, and then you've got people without any powers also on the same team.
Mm-hmm. Captain Obi.
Cool. Yeah, Obi's the man. He works out. So and between these big fights is when the really interesting character development, for me personally, goes. So I know we kind of strayed into an interesting territory, but yeah, I find that just that these pushing and pulling in the various different directions, religiously and scientifically and heroically, it really helps to give an interesting balance to the show. So it's not just kind of just too one-sided.
And it made me at least pause to think about, like you were saying, the different types of pulls you get from Fire Force instead of just a straight beat 'em up shonen that we're generally accustomed to when you look at like a fairy tale, like a One Piece, things along those lines. It really does, if you watch and really think about it, really makes you think. And I enjoy shows that kind of make you think more about than what you're seeing on the surface. Personally, that's just me, but what do I know?
And I mean, Shinra's not perfect. He's got his own flaws. Maybe it's because of his strange psychological upbringing, because of the loss of his parents and stuff. So, I feel like imperfect characters, I find are really compelling to me to watch.
Did you have a favorite squad to watch besides Company 8, of course? But were there any other squads through the first for the first season that you were just like, oh man, I want to see more of these guys? They're fun.
Well, I love watching Hibana. I just in terms of sheer entertainment. Just watching her step over people. Just the funniest, weirdest world building. I love it. Let me think. I mean, I really liked. Because some of these companies, they seem incredibly overpowered until, you start to see that no house is perfect. How about you? What do you think? What's some of your most interesting favorites, so I can think about that? That's an interesting thought.
Well, Company 1 for me.
Yeah.
That was when we got there, and when Shinra kind of proved himself in a sense, even though he really didn't do much, but when he proved himself when he was fighting the captain, I was I was like, oh my god, this is so cool, and the action for it was really interesting too, and I really
and everybody in that house, like I said, they're incredibly overpowered. It seemed, and why you wonder why some of the machinations, why some things aren't working until you start to see other things. I love Captain Burns. He's just one of my favorite characters in the show. He's so stoic, but oof, what a badass.
Yeah, I like it's very old school, but sometimes you just need that Clint Eastwood type of character where they're just they're solemn, they're badass, but they mean well, and they do it. I love it. So to me, like I said, I'm very biased with picking that, but like I found, especially that whole arc when you find out the traitor for it too, it was just I felt it was very compelling, and to me, it was really what kind of thread the needle for Fire Force.
Yeah, Company One. I mean, Burns. He, even to the very last episode of season 1, he's got important things to do. He's great.
I know,
on that topic,
I was about to say, Sketch has a very important question here.
Well, I don't know if it's the one you're thinking of, but I actually, on that topic, because at the end of that season, you get that fight with Burns, and Burns is like, all right, now I can tell you about this. Do you think he was right to wait? Do you think Shinra would have just gone off and gotten himself killed if he hadn't learned this so many years later?
Well, I feel like Captain Burns, in his wisdom, he knows that somehow that I would have, or Shinra would have, like you said, gone off and gotten himself killed, without gaining the knowledge of how to fight up against those things. I mean, it's a whole lot of trauma. The trauma, he wouldn't be who he is without the trauma. Shinra. I mean,
just like Spider-Man and Uncle Ben.
Oh, God.
Exactly. I mean, and to learn, the plot twist of, that. I hope everybody's seen season 1. You go ahead. The DVD's out right now. You go ahead and get that Blu-ray. It's time. Now's the time. You get that on the internet. You can watch it. You can stream it right now on Funny. But when the, not only, of course his brother is alive, but his mom is still, alive and in this other world. That's, I mean, if when he's a little kid, just to say, oh, hey kid, your mom got turned into a demon. She's in this other universe. Your brother, we don't really know about him, but I think he's being brainwashed. I mean, what would you even do with that, right?
True.
Shinra would immediately walk over. He would try to fight something, and like you said, he would have gotten throttled. And he's got this, he's connected to his brother, and this land of where he's connected to. I personally feel that he didn't. I don't think Shinra liked it, but I think it was probably necessary for him to hold back that information. But I mean, he could have told him a little bit, But what do I know?
Yeah, there's probably a middle ground in there somewhere between telling him when he's a little kid and waiting until.
There's a Dr. Phil. They should have gone on and had a little chat maybe a couple of months before that big fight. They should have gone.
Now, Captain Burns, why didn't you tell Shinra sooner?
What you need to do, Burns, is just take off your patch and talk to him. Use a little bit of love.
Oh, no.
I'm actually, I'm pretty good, decent friends with the guy that plays Burns. His name's Phil Parsons. He is just he's a funny, dry guy in real life. And so, it's so fun to go into the booth. I don't get to act with him, but I know him, so I get to, kind of feel his interesting choices as he's, as I'm acting off of his, perhaps pre-recorded lines, or I kind of feel like how I know he's going to react in this situation.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, and I've always had fun with him. He totally kicks butt as Burns.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely enjoyed his performance. It reminded me a lot of Blood Blockade Battlefront that he did. I love that. Absolutely.
Chief.
Yeah, right. But I love when he gets to kind of do that archetype. It's very good. So I do see what you're saying when it comes to that. But no, what I was thinking Sketch was going to ask is who you think best girl of Fire Force is.
Who wins the waifu war?
Right, we're in an agreement to who we would pick. So we're curious if you're on the same idea.
Well, I mean, I always like the strong gals myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna have to go with let's say I'll say Maki. Yeah.
Yes.
You are also a man of culture.
That is who we pick.
No contest, man. It's
every actor is incredible, but man, she's fun. She's smart. She plays with her little tiny, fire.
Sputter, yeah.
So cute.
Yeah. And yeah, she, she's kind of, she's not quite as, she's green. She's, she wants to do good, but man, she can kick ass, and I love that. She's not a character in need of being rescued. She's just great. I love a kick ass character, and she's just one of my favorites.
She definitely.
As the man Spike Spiegel said, I love a woman who can kick my ass.
She definitely took over Toonami Twitter for sure. Did you enjoy any of the lines if you got to hear them beforehand with Arthur? Like, did you enjoy getting to play off of Arthur's character and Eric Vale when it comes to that? Because I found their relationship hysterical, especially towards the beginning.
Yeah, there's, when you go in to do one of these sessions, you never quite know who's going to have the lines down first, but he's so funny. Eric he's brilliant delivery on his heroic buffoonery. It's so fun to have a person to make fun of, a foil. It's like comedy gold between us whenever they're just the hate, but also not exactly hate, but hate at the same time.
Right.
He's great fun. Yeah. Arthur, that son of a gun. Onion-headed son of a...
And kind of one last thing, at least for me with Fire Force, how fun was it to kind of learn about, like, firefighters themselves, especially considering the kind of job that they have, and how dangerous and how they really are. Even, like, they don't need to be using fire to fight, but they're heroes even today, and you're able to kind of portray that role in a way that I think it really speaks volumes to the job itself.
It's really it's interesting because literally we're doing almost the opposite. Because we're literally fighting fire with fire. We're the fire force. We burn, but we save. All kidding aside, whenever we started, we got to visit when we were doing some promo stuff after I think we'd recorded maybe the second or third episode. We went to a firehouse and we got to hang out and actually, put on some of the firefighting equipment, and it was a great time. But yeah, it's good to be. Whenever you see like a fire truck, in my mind, that there's some very selfless people that are just you have to literally live at a firehouse for these. When an alarm happens and you have to go and fight that fire, and it's interesting seeing the juxtaposition, particularly in the episodes when we find people that have become overwhelmed by the fire. It's not that we're killing this person, we're saving their soul. And we're doing it to help. We're also trying to bring comfort and a proper end, a noble end to these people who have become something, fire demon. And because, they're someone's parents, particularly first and second episodes. Their parents, their siblings, they're people that are loved, and there's literally barely any of them left in there. So you want to protect their souls so they can be released. In terms of being an actual fire person, when you show up, you're not just doing fire. You're also doing resuscitation and saving lives for people that have, even if there's not a fire, it's a very noble place to work and live, and it's incredibly taxing in the real world on the emotional system, because you've got to walk into incredible situations all day, and I try to use that whenever I in my role as Shinra, just to try to understand that I'm not just going in to kick ass, even though he does.
He definitely does.
But yeah, but he's also trying to be noble to the soul that's inside and to the family members that might be watching outside. And yeah, it's trying to find that nobility, sincere nobility, and not thinking of yourself as a cool dude like Arthur always is.
I love how the rivalry still acts now. I love it.
Yeah, I see Eric fail like trip
bombs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, constantly.
That's good.
Kyle Phillips loves a good bomb. That'll probably, if he has his way, things will sneak out. But yeah, I have my doubts, and he will leak out. But it's all in good fun.
Of course, I feel like Obi would be the best when it comes to bombs. That's for sure. Especially when it comes to him lifting them weights.
He lifts. He's the best.
Absolutely. But it wasn't just Fire Force that you've been on that's been on Toonami. You were also on Dragon Ball Super, and I asked this
Dragon Ball Super.
I asked this with everyone who's been in the cast, like especially with like some of the newer characters that comes out. What's it like being on such a iconic franchise that literally I think the whole world now knows? Like you can't say you've never heard of this and like you don't watch anime. I feel like everybody knows Dragon Ball. Once
I booked Dragon Ball Super as a character, now we were talking about Shinra, being excited and stuff. Well, this was a little bit before that, and it took a while for things to come out. But when that happened, oh man, everybody I know knows at least what Dragon Ball is, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm doing a little. What are you in? You in this? Yeah. You ever heard of it? No. How about Dragon Ball? They're like, oh. They get very excited. Their little ears perk right up. And of course, Dragon Ball is at least the character that I did. I did 3 characters. I did Ro, another cool dude, Rabanra, this red nice guy from. None of these people ended well for them. But and I want to say Koitsukai. He's this robot guy. Yeah, one eye. Mm-hmm. But Ro, the Grand Poobah of the 9th universe, he is a ball of energy is what he was. Screamy, talking about the trio of danger. It was just right off the bat. I expected intensity because I auditioned for that one from my house, and I was just screaming up a storm, trying not to let my neighbors think that I was like, being murdered. But yeah, I did that, and I was like, man, that felt really good. I think I could do that character. And then, yeah, they called me in for that one, and it was very exciting to record for that and meet some of those people. And it's recorded in its own special studio area. So just walking in, they've got all this, history of Dragon Ball, these little statues and toys and stuff. And you're like, wow, this is definitely part of something. I can't never be unlinked to Dragon Ball now. And, while he didn't exactly last forever, unfortunately, kind of disappeared. He was erased.
Oh, no.
It was incredibly fun. Hey, there's a chance he'll come back, but I have my...
They all came back at the end.
Yeah, they all came back. It's true. But then that's the end of Super.
Yeah.
For now.
But there's always video games.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's always video games, and the beauty of voice acting is I can be somebody else, and I'll just show up and do it again.
And at least one other Toonami show that you were in that you, I'm not sure if many people would have realized or anything like that, but Mimic for My Hero Academia. Did you enjoy because that those villains were so creepy. I loved it.
Yes. So Colleen Klinkenbeard called me in. I had done some work with her. Of course, she's Hibana on Fire Force, and we've done other work together. She's great. She was doing the ADR directing for that. And she told me about this character. The very first time I came in, I think it was a really quick session. But we were just trying to quickly find some character notes, and she had some ideas. And she said he goes really high and really low and just goes crazy in between. Sometimes. At some point, he becomes a building. You'll see. It's like, okay. So we were trying to I was just spitballing ideas, and then we came up with the very first thing, just kind of mysterious, because Mimic, if you saw him on My Hero Academia, he is precious. He looks like he looks like this little tiny penguin in a little plague mask. He's tiny, and he's counting money, and And he talks like this, and he's just kind of, kind of smart aleck, and he's nice, and then he gets crazy. And then he screams. And then that was right on the edge of both of my highs and lows. So, I was using the lowest part of my diaphragm and screaming as loud as I could. But there are lines that were as high as I could go and as low as I could go, as loud as I could go, all in like 7 seconds. God, that was intense. It was great. I love that kind of challenge. But man, I'm glad I warmed up for that. They bring it on My Hero. Those villains, let me tell you.
So for the low voice, they didn't do anything. It was all you.
Only when, so he becomes in the building and he starts. There's this long scream sound. They did some modifications for that. But yes, I can go much lower. But when I'm feeling, it's like my morning bear voice.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, when I wake up, I'm much lower. But then, as I get happy, I suddenly turn into a anime middle schooler.
Yeah.
There's a ton
when
of anime
that was
like that.
airing on Toonami, people were like, "Is that Richard Horvitz?" Like, no, that's Derick Snow.
Yeah, it was great challenge. And technically, he's not dead. He's fine.
He's good.
He'll be back. He's gonna embody whatever he can, purses, hats, whatever you got.
Literally
Right
bodies. That's such a great description. It was entirely accurate.
Very.
But I like all the internet. People mimics just the most precious little characters, so he gets drawn a lot. I get sent all kinds of cute little stuff.
Oh, really? That's so cool.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Mimic needs to be like this cute little plush. It'll sell like gangbusters. He's just so precious for a little bastard.
You know who he reminds me of, and this is interesting because of Soul Eater. Excalibur.
Oh my god. Yes. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, definitely looks like him. Yeah.
But,
I really appreciate your performance as that one monkey on Dr. Stone.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I want to say also Kyle Phillips was one of the other monkeys. And I can't remember who the other one was. Great times. Yeah, just meaningless, silly, crazy ass screaming. It's one of my specialties. I can't help it.
Does that count as like a Wallace session? Even though
no. It was a short session, but that was I want to say Clifford Chapin, who I'm now doing. Well, there's a little bit of we're on a little downtime, but another small anime called Smile Down the Runway that I'm.
I love it.
I love that show. But yeah,
that's great.
Clifford, yeah, he brought me in and was like, yeah, just be insane. Perfect. I got it.
But you can also pull off this really tender acting that you do, like in Smile Down the Runway, and some of Shinra's lines, too.
Those are some of my favorite. I love being, I don't know, I feel like anime could use, as much sincerity as possible. There's so many high, big moments and so many, it's, the anime tends to be intense, but I love those as sincere, real moments that bring tenderness, Those are some of my personal favorites, particularly with Shinra when, he's doing, family building and stuff at Company 8 or, Smile Down the Runway. It's nothing but. It's great. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But I can also scream.
I was going to say, like, you could hear that in, like, Izetta the Last Witch, too. Which I love that show. I wish Toonami could have gotten it at the time, but I really did enjoy the kind of story that your character had in it because he was spy, he becomes friendly with everyone, and then it's like, oh, it's like a classic love story where all of a sudden everything goes falling apart.
Those were one of whenever I was getting a little more regular work with Funimation, I felt like they almost cast me just because it kind of looked like me and had my name almost. You're like, Rickard, blonde hair, shaggy, that guy. Yeah, let's make him Rickard. But yeah, I was able to hopefully exceed their expectations because I really liked that guy. It was a real. I love that bittersweet stuff.
No, I thought it was really good. Very good storytelling with that. I'm sure, like, I mean, like I said, like even though shows that weren't on Toonami, but is there any one that you really enjoyed that you thought should, or maybe could get a push eventually by fans? Something that either
I'll tell
you
you
were
what,
in or weren't in, anything like
if a
that?
Halloween ever rolls around, everybody needs to see. It's a bit intense, but Angels of Death.
Ah.
Angels of Death
Oh.
is a real interesting. Like, it's got great performances. Each character is crazy, but they're also incredibly endearing. And if you don't know what Angels of Death is, it's based on I want to say like a mobile game, but man,
I think it was an RPG Maker
Yeah.
game.
yeah, something like that. That's it, RPG Maker game. And I played this character named Dr. Danny, who's he starts out so sincere. I think that's why I got cast, because I just sound like I'm smiling all the time.
Oh boy, I've seen this. I know exactly where this is going.
Yeah. And then, yeah, he a couple of subtle hints about eyeball. Oh, your eyes sparkle. Those peepers, so nice. And then he goes full lunatic, eyes scraping out. He's got extra eyeballs. He's crazy. And then he just gets murdered, or so you assume. And then he comes back almost every episode. He's great. That was one of I loved that show. It's intense, but it's kind of funny. It's dark. But it's definitely like a Halloween kind of time. So like, because it's kind of spooky and dark and bloody and gross. It's perfect. It'd be perfect for late night Toonami.
I love Halloween stuff, and
I
oddly
can see
enough,
that.
I got that sense, so I'm going to be reviewing it very soon. That's going to be real fun. Oh, that's awesome though. That's a fantastic choice, because I liked it. I thought it was it was very reminiscent to like the cheesy kind of Halloween movies that have a certain charm to it. So
Yeah, a little bit.
I loved it. And Dallas Reed screaming all the time. I mean, we get that with Oscar.
Yes.
So I mean, by all means.
I think that show forever changed how Dallas talks a little bit.
It's just a little bit more gravelly from now
Yeah, just
on.
a little gravelly now. Hey, but that adds character and tone. Good job.
We call that plot development. I like it.
Yes.
He's seen some things.
Oh, man.
Well, Derek, I would like to
That's
say,
for
is
sure.
there anything you would like to promote that fans should check out that you obviously can say?
Well, like I said, Fire Force very recently came out on Blu-ray and DVD, so you can go ahead and order that. You go to town. There's some really great extras and stuff that we did for it. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten it yet because I haven't been back to Funimation since it came out. Because I'd get a chance to check out a copy for myself, but I hear really great things about it. I had some great conventions that were just around the corner that, because of this beautiful at-home Corona Fun. I was going to go to Chicago in May, but I believe if things go my way, we've still got SAC Anime. That's going to be way in September. That'll be in Sacramento, and I'll be there for that. There's a chance in July I might be visiting Anime Expo.
Oh, no kidding.
Because if everything goes according to plan, Fire Force is just around the corner. Great stuff is going to happen. And when we get back to it, we're going to finish off episodes of Plunderer that I did some character stuff on. So that'll be around the corner if we get back in. More Smile Down the Runway. We'll finish off that season. Let's see. If you like to hear me as weird characters, there's a great anime called Radiant that just I think is going to hit. It just finished off the season. I was Mr. Boobry, the little precious green dragon.
Oh my gosh, you were Mr.
Yeah.
Boobry.
I didn't even realize. Oh my god.
Yeah. And Fire Force. It's all good, man. There's so much good stuff that's just around the corner. Once we just get around this staying at home all the time, gonna be fantastic. In the meanwhile, I think all of my fellow voice actors, we've been just making sure that we set up for these our home studios so we can try to do some work from home. I can't really talk about any stuff that I've actually done from home, but
Right.
all good. More around the corner. I can't wait to get out of my house and say hi to people in person someday.
Hug again.
But meanwhile, the internet is fantastic.
And what would we do without the internet right now?
Oh God,
I had no idea what Zoom was until like 2 months ago, and now I have never Zoomed so much in my life.
Well, we certainly hope that the convention scene can kind of pick back up, because I know that a lot of us at Toonami Faithful are trying to get to Anime Expo as well, so that would be
yeah.
a surprise.
And for other conventions, I have an awesome representation with conventions, etc. It's all on my Twitter. You can find me at Snow Eyes on Twitter, and on Instagram I'm on Studio Sound, and that's good enough.
Snow Eyes, really?
Snow Eyes, yeah, SNOWEYES.
Because Dr. Danny.
Yeah.
Oh yes, Snow Eyes.
Is that at all related, or is that just a happy coincidence?
It is a wonderful coincidence. I happen to be an artist, and my biggest great success initially, I did like a series of like 100 eyes, so it just perfectly fits my life.
Oh.
Weird, spooky.
So we see some method acting was involved. I get it. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And,
so you got a bunch of eyeballs in a jar in your place, you know.
Yeah, snoweyes.com. Yeah, you can see all the eyes you want. There's some Dr. Danny on there. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Derick, I want to just say thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I hope it wasn't too painful. I hope you were able to have an enjoyable time. It was very... I at least enjoyed it. I hope you did as well.
Yeah, no problem. It's been my pleasure. I love talking about this stuff and getting a chance to be a little silly for anime.
Yeah, but hey, that's all we can ask for, and I certainly cannot wait for more Fire Force to join the block. I'm sure Sketch feels the same way. At least I hope he does. If he doesn't, I'm
looking forward to coming back.
I know.
You know, there's interesting stuff happening at the end of that season.
Oh man, it ended on a great place, and yeah, there's some really fun performances that I if you read ahead on the manga, God, I can't wait. I'm just so stoked for that. Stoked. I get it.
Well, I was just gonna say, you sound
I can't wait for all the fire memes. There's so many on my Twitter when Fire Force kicks around.
Oh, we like.
I'll be feeling the burn.
Oh no, not the puns.
That's hot.
Oh boy.
Somebody in the booth like, "This is why I'm hot.
Oh.
This is why I'm hot."
Well, in post, you can easily do that. But once again, thank you for taking the time with us, Derick. I hope everyone enjoyed listening. Feel free to check out the Toonami Faithful podcast. Make sure you check where we post all of our interviews there, all of our podcast episodes, as well as Demon Slayer podcast episodes. And hopefully we'll be hearing Derick more on more than just Fire Force 2 later in the future. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Have a nice day.